Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft on the second overall spot using Sleeper. The roster positions for today's mock are to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end flex, kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. But before we could get on into this mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So without further ado, let's get into this 12-team PPR mock draft from the second overall spot over on Sleeper. So the draft begins with Saquon Barkley, and frankly, we're just going to change that pick to Ja'Marr Chase because I think Ja'Marr Chase or Bijan Robinson is going to be the 101 95-ish% of the time. Obviously, there's always going to be that small percent chance that your league mate just wants to take their favorite player at the 101. Someone might not understand fantasy football as much. They think Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL, so let me draft Patrick Mahomes at the 101. So typically, you're going to see either Ja'Marr Chase or Bijan Robinson, so that's why I replaced Saquon Barkley there. Now, obviously, if you are in a league where Ja'Marr Chase does not go 101, right, and Ja'Marr Chase ends up being available for you at the second overall pick, I would take him. I feel 100% confident in the safety that is what Ja'Marr Chase provides game in and game out. He is on an offense that is going to have to throw the ball so much game in and game out because the defense is simply that bad. Joe Burrow is going to have one of the highest amount of pass attempts in the NFL. They're going to be top 5 in terms of pass play percentage, and Ja'Marr Chase is going to benefit in a big way from that. He is one of the best, if not the best wide receivers in the NFL. I know in the past, the first overall pick has been a bit cursed, but I do really believe Ja'Marr Chase is just super safe this season. So if Ja'Marr Chase was off the board at the 101, to me, it's either Saquon Barkley or Bijan Robinson. For me, I have Bijan Robinson ranked as my second overall player, so I will go with them there. Now, there have been some injuries to the Atlanta Falcons offensive line, which obviously isn't the best thing possible, but I still think Bijan Robinson will see enough dump-offs from Michael Penix that the loss of the offensive line being a little bit worse won't impact him as much. Obviously, though, it's never a good thing when your running back loses one of the pieces of the O-line, but I do really believe that the Atlanta Falcons offense is going to look mighty fine this season. I fully expect the Atlanta Falcons offense to really take that next step up with another year of Michael Penix, and Bijan Robinson looked incredible last year, even when Kirk Cousins was kind of sluggish as the QB1. After Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, Drizzy Drake London, Nico Collins, A.J. Brown, Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, as well as Ladd McConkey. Now, Bucky Irving does fall to us at this pick, which would make him an instant selection. In my opinion, some people are worried about Bucky Irving just simply because he's not like the biggest running back out there, and people are worried that maybe he'll get hurt because of that. People are also worried that, hey, Liam Cohen is now gone. How is that going to impact Bucky Irving? And oh, Bucky Irving has never really been a quote-unquote workhorse at the NFL level. Will they actually be able to pass the torch to him and make him become the running back one workhorse on the team? To me, it has been very clear all offseason. Every single piece of news that has came out regarding Bucky Irving has been nothing but incredibly positive. Todd Bowles basically sucking the man off, saying that he has increased his pass blocking ability. He has increased his pass catching ability. He's going to be on the field a lot more. I feel very confident in Bucky Irving based upon what we saw down the stretch of last season. If you're like, Nick, Bucky Irving would not be available to me in my league at the 2.11, what you are going to do is, instead of taking Bucky Irving here, the pick would instead be running back Chase Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown is potentially going to crawl himself into being a unanimous second round pick by the end of the summer. I absolutely love Chase Brown. Again, we talked about how many passing attempts the Bengals are going to have, but Chase Brown is still an electric pass catching running back. He makes plays with the pass catching opportunities, and Joe Shiesty likes to dump the ball off his way, so I'd be very confident with either of those guys, but I do have Bucky Irving ranked one spot ahead of Chase Brown, so that would be the pick there. After Bucky Irving, Trey McBride, and Tyreek Hill. Now, we did learn that Lamar Jackson got banged up yesterday, but it doesn't really seem like this is going to be something serious. It is a minor foot injury. If you are drafting this weekend, I'm not really going to be panicking at all about this. I'm not going to go and cry myself to sleep if I've already had my draft and drafted Lamar Jackson. They say it's a minor foot injury. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's obviously something to follow, because if you're doing your draft at the end of August or early September, maybe by then there's more information, and then maybe there's a reason to be scared to skedaddle away from Lamar Jackson. But as things are sitting right now, I feel very confident in Lamar Jackson. And while I do really talk about how in 12-team leagues, the quarterback position to me isn't as important as in a 10-team league. Same thing goes with the tight end position. But if you are in a league that only has one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, if you're in the more vanilla league format, the quarterback position takes up more of your roster than it would if you were starting 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, or 2 wide receivers and 2 flexes. So in this kind of vanilla format, I am a lot more comfortable drafting a guy like Lamar Jackson here at the 3.2. So I will go ahead and do that. Now, I think if I didn't want to get Lamar Jackson, I think Chase Brown would be a very acceptable pick as well. I understand that our wide receiver core is going to be a little bit more spotty because we haven't taken one through the first 3 rounds, but that's a risk I am willing to take when I get a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who I know in any given week could score 25, 30 plus points and be the reason why I win my week. And Bijan and Bucky Irving have the upside to combine for 50 plus points in any given week. So that's what makes me ultimately feel confident in punting the wide receiver position, not punching the wide receiver position. Shout out to Mike Tyson, because again, the wide receivers in this range, JSN, T. Higgins, they just don't feel the best, whereas a guy like, if you want to go running back, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams feel a whole lot better. But we will go with the running quarterback, Mr. Lamar Jackson, who just feels like wrapping a condom around your team when you draft him this early on. He is just such a safe quarterback bet game in and game out. After Lamar Jackson, Jackson Smith in the Jigba, Chase Brown, Higgins, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Jalen, stop, it hurts, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden, Stormy Daniels with the stack, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Who knows how that stack will play out, because Terry McLaurin still hasn't signed his contract. How is this possible? How is this still going on? Maybe his ass is getting shipped off. We shall see. After Terry, Kenneth Walker, Omarion, Chris Breeze, Hampton, George Kittle, Timbers, Joe Shiesty, DK Metcalf, Alvin Kamara, Chuba Hubbard, Devontae Adams, and DJ Moore. So we're up here at the 4.11, which is pick number 47. Mike Evans fell all the way to the 4th round. Now, I have been someone that has been kind of critical of Mike Evans this season. Not because I think that Mike Evans is just some dick cheese player. He's getting up there in age. He's magically not going to get 1,000 receiving yards. My concern is last year when Chris Godwin was healthy, Mike Evans was basically Baker Mayfield's side piece, right? He wasn't the focal point of the team anymore. So if Michael Evans, using his government name, if that even is his name, maybe his name's just Mike Evans, if he fell to me at this pick, I would definitely be fine doing it, but I don't think he would fall this far in your normal home league, if I'm being honest with you. And I think we are going to do something that would be considered a quote-unquote reach, but I think by late August, this isn't going to be a reach at all, and maybe we even got a steal here. And we're going to start off the draft with 4 running backs, because we already have Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving. Ha ha ha, so fucking funny, right? We're going to draft TreVeyon Henderson here, and then we are going absolutely hammer mode on the wide receiver position. After that, TreVeyon Henderson is going to continue to climb up draft boards, but the earliest I'd be willing to take him probably is the early 4th round, so I think him going at the 4.11 really isn't all that big of a reach in my opinion. So I like TreVeyon Henderson a ton. Previously, I was off of him because Ramondre Stevenson, I just thought Josh McDaniels was going to fuck this all up and use too much of Ramondre Stevenson. And if you had TreVeyon Henderson, you were kind of just left watching TreVeyon Henderson chill on the sideline while Ramondre Stevenson was getting all this work inside the red zone. But TreVeyon Henderson looks so good out of the backfield. He just looks incredible. Shout out to Mr. Incredible. In every single fucking clip I see, it makes my eyes want to ejaculate. I believe so strongly in TreVeyon Henderson. The Vegas numbers for the Patriots are great. They believe that the Patriots are back. The Patriots are going to be putting up belt to ass this season. So I like TreVeyon Henderson here. And maybe this ends up being a steal if he ends up going way earlier by late August after Henderson, Mike Evans, and Patrick Mahomes. So now, even if you like James Conner, even if you like Isaiah Pacheco, even if you like RJ Harvey, even if for some reason you love David Montgomery this season, now we have to click the wide receiver position and we have to go heavy onto the wide receiver position. Even if you are a Laporta fan, a TJ Hawkinson fan, I would be avoiding them like the bubonic plague at this point in the draft if I didn't have a wide receiver. Now, this completely rules out any chance of us drafting Rashee Rice, because while Rashee Rice will start off the season playing for us, and maybe that's fine for some of you guys, the fact that we have no idea how long his actual suspension length is going to be is very, 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 very concerning in my opinion. They might slap him with 5, 6, 7 games. 6, 7 games in the middle of the season. That is not good at all. That really does scare me if he was my wide receiver 1, so I would stay away. I feel a lot more comfortable drafting a guy like Courtland Sutton here, who I believe will be, not fucking suspended. I know he's not going to be suspended unless, of course, he just starts drunk driving tonight or something. Knock on wood. We won't root for that. Obviously, it's more of a joke. I don't think Courtland Sutton is going to do that, right? Courtland Sutton last year towards the end of the season really started to get that gel, get that connection with Bo Nix, and that really saw Courtland Sutton's numbers inflate. So I really do believe that Courtland Sutton's going to end up putting up a big year this year with BDB. Big Dick Bo Nicholas. After Courtland Sutton, we see James Conner, Sam Laporta, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Professor Xavier Worthy, TJ Hawkinson, Dave Montgomery, RJ Harvey, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams, Mark Andrews, Tet McMillan, who's dealing with a minor injury, George Pickens, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Travis Kelce, Travis Hunter, Isaiah Pacheco, Baker Mayfield, and Jalen waddled away, waddle, till the very next day, bum, bada bum. So again, even if you like, for some reason, if you wanted to draft Judkins, you're not going to. We have no idea. Judkins is by far and away the worst pick in fantasy football drafts right now. I was watching the Fantasy Flock Draft League, and I was trying to get into that draft, and I thought that the draft was going very well. It seemed like no one was doing anything all that crazy. And then Judkins went in like the 5th round. I mean, if you're taking Judkins in the 5th round, you might as well just have slapped your team directly in the face. I mean, Quinshon Judkins might not even play at all this season. Do not draft Quinshon Judkins. That guy has bust written all over his face like his name was Lily Phillips. So we are back up on the clock here. And again, we can't go quarterback because we already have Lamar Jackson. We're not going tight end because we only have one wide receiver. We're just going to keep clicking the wide receiver button, beginning with Calvin Ridley. I have talked up Calvin Ridley so much over this summer. I have been on him before he started to rise up draft boards. He is going to be one of my highest owned wide receivers on Underdog paid drafts. I continue to spam click the draft button on him. All signs point towards wheels being up for Calvin Ridley, a guy that really could have had huge numbers last season if Will Levis wasn't a complete and utter fucking dumbass who could actually throw the ball the way of Calvin Ridley. After Calvin Ridley, Joe Mixon, as well as Tony Pollard. Joe Mixon's like a clear stay away as well. And this is coming from Joe Mixon's #1 fan for fantasy football, when everyone was ready to leave him for dead, when everyone was ready to give up on Joe Mixon, say he was going to turn invisible, do the you can't see me John Cena. He ends up having a great start to last season. I was all over Joe Mixon, paused earlier on, but now I'm going to have to fade away. Shout out to Michael Jordan, because I do not trust his health. So we're back up here and we're staring wide receiver down yet again. And Chris Olave is a guy that I think is so talented. I would love to come on here and be like, man, you need to draft Chris Olave because do you remember how good he was at Ohio State? Do you remember how good he was when he's healthy? But it genuinely feels like Chris Olave is one bad hit away from missing a serious amount of time again. And the quarterback position there isn't great, right? It's not like now New Orleans brought in a legit QB1 and you're like, okay, now Chris Olave is not going to be getting hospital balls thrown to him from Derek Carr, from Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck. It's going to be great. Shout out to Tony the Tiger. No, it's Tyler Shuck or Walmart Patrick Mahomes, aka Spencer Rattler. So while I want to believe in Chris Olave, I just frankly do not. For me, the pick here is either Rome Odunze or Jacoby Myers. If you feel as though Ridley and Sutton are risky, you take Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers always pays off at ADP, at least in Viva Las Vegas. Geno Smith being the QB1 should help him out. Pete Carroll, better coach compared to the schlubs they've had there over the last couple of years. But I like Rome Odunze. I like the upside of Rome Odunze. And I'm also starting to like Deebo Samuel a little bit more, if I'm being honest with you. It might be considered a reach. But if Terry McLaurin just gets traded or doesn't sign the contract, then Deebo Samuel might legitimately be a league winner, whether I like it or not. Whether I've been talking shit on the fat bastard all summer long, it doesn't really matter. If Terry doesn't sign the contract, Deebo's the wide receiver #1 there. So you know what? We're going to reach a little bit and we'll get Deebo, because I try to treat these drafts like they are my at-home league. And if I'm in 10 at-home leagues, look, I fucking hate Deebo Samuel. I'm probably going to draft him at least once, because even though Deebo Samuel has been fucking us over year in and year out, ever since that big season in like 2021, he definitely has a lot of upside here in Washington, especially if Terry just doesn't sign. So we'll go with Deebo here. Nick, that's a reach, I know, but I did want to get him on at least one of my fantasy teams. And again, I treat these like these are my real draft. So before we get on to the next pick here, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you don't know what Underdog is, it is the best ball platform in the world. You're like, Nick, what is best ball? It's the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup at the end of the week. They have Best Ball Mania with a gigantic prize pool. They also have $5 drafts called the Puppy. $5 to enter $100,000 to first place. If you sign up using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash, as well as receiving my draft guide, my full PPR and half PPR rankings and cheat sheet for free to your email, as long as you deposit $10 using promo code Notorious and play through the funds. So make sure you guys check that out, promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. You will get your draft guide the next day. I get emails in the morning with everyone's email that signed up, and then I email them the draft guide from there. And if you have signed up and you haven't got your draft guide yet, either you signed up after I got the email or it's in your spam folder. So Bijan, Bucky, Lamar, Travion Henderson, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, and Deebo Samuel are on our team after we took Deebo, Evan Ingram, Chris Olave, Bo Nix, Caleb Johnson, Jared Goff, Quinshon Judkins, Jerry Jeudy, Kyler Murray, Jordan Addison Ray, Rome Odunze, Jacoby Myers, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs, Brian Robinson, Chris Godwin, Tyrone Tracy, David Njoku, Tyler Warren, Travis Etienne, and Jalen Warren. Now, Chris Godwin. The news on Godwin is that Chris Godwin is expected to be activated from the PUP list. That might sound great. Wow, he's not going to be on the PUP list. Chris Godwin will be not put on the PUP list, and we'll have him on the 53-man roster to begin the season. The team is taking a cautious approach with his recovery from the gruesome ankle injury, and he's very unlikely to play until October. So he's basically on the PUP list, but he's not on the PUP list, right? He's still going to be missing the first 4 games plus of the season. So while that might sound good, like while people might have read that and jumped for joy because they didn't fucking read the article, it doesn't sound the most positive in my opinion. And Emeka Egbuka is going to continue to rise. Frankly, I don't think he's going to even be available in the 8th round, so I'm just not going to pick him. Obviously, if your league mates are fucking sleeping with the fishes, shout out to Luca Brazzi. If they're not paying attention at all, they don't know ball, then sure, you might be able to get Egbuka here at ADP, but his draft stock is rising quickly. He is going to be a unanimous top 30-ish wide receiver by the end of the summer, in my opinion, at least like top 32, top 34. So we're going to go Slick Rick here of the 49ers, another guy whose stock is rising. His ADP is going to rise as well. I've been taking him a bunch in these mock drafts. I've been taking him a bunch on Underdog. I love Ricky Pearsall, who seems like he might end up being the wide receiver 1 in San Fran. After Slick Rick, Ricky Rolex, we see Matthew Golden as well as Ricky's teammate, Jawan Jennings. We still do not have a tight end, but we are now in the range of tight end where you probably just take two of them, right? You take Colston Loveland and you pair him with Tucker Kraft. You take Janu and you hope that maybe he could just rekindle what he did last year. You know, it seems like Arthur Smith really loves Janu Smith. He has like one of those heart tattoos. You know how people have like, I love my mom on my shoulder, right? Instead, this one says, I fucking love Janu Smith, like how Rex Ryan, the foot lover, has Mark Sanchez, the Sanchez, tattooed on him. So that would probably be my approach here, would just be double tapping the tight end position. We don't need two quarterbacks because we have Lamar Jackson. Typically, I'm not a draft two tight ends kind of guy, but based upon this position, I probably would do it. And let's see how many teams have tight end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So me and team 11 do not have a tight end. Now, you have to know your league for two positions are very important. Know your league if you've been in the league for a while. Are these cocksuckers going to draft two quarterbacks? And are these cocksuckers going to draft two tight ends before you even potentially get your one? And especially, I don't mean just like, oh, if you're in the range of me where I'm getting Loveland and Tucker Kraft, that's fine. I'm talking more of the guy that drafts George Kittle in round 4, and then bada bing, bada boom, they fall out their lineup. Round number 9, they draft Janu Smith or Dalton Kincaid, right? Or the guy that drafts Josh Allen, and then at round 8, round 9, they draft Jordan Love, right? They draft their backup quarterback, which to me makes absolutely zero sense. So here, knowing how a lot of leagues are, I'm just going to take Colston Loveland, and then, you know, probably none will go by the time it's our pick again, but you never know. See, this team took 2, David Njoku and Dalton Kincaid. Janu Smith goes to the team with George Kittle, so we kind of predicted exactly what would happen. The guy with Jaden Stormy Daniels takes Brock Purdy because, again, we predict things, right? Shout out Conor McGregor. I think that it's pretty clear in drafts that stuff like this happens unless you're drafting with the sharpest knives in the cupboard. We already have 3 running backs. We are going to want to get another running back on the roster, but I don't feel super stuck on needing to draft that running back just yet. We can keep tapping the wide receiver position. I'll probably take another tight end here just to make sure we don't get completely buried. But even if we do, I'd be fine drafting a guy like Brenton Strange in round 12. So I don't think we necessarily have to force it. We have 3 bench spots left, so we want to go wide receiver, running back, and tight end. 4 running backs normally feels a little bit gross to draft, but if you have a lot of confidence in Henderson like I do, if you believe Bucky and Bijan are those guys, when are you really ever, like, unless you draft down here, you draft Tank, he's the clear RB1 in Jacksonville, Liam Cohen has him going beast mode, then sure, maybe that pick is worth it. And actually, we're just going to do it. We're going to take our shot here and draft Ja'Cory Krosky Moret, whose actual name is Bill, Little Bill. Put and pop, Ja'Cory Krosky Moret, Bill himself, Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill. I think he could be the running back one on this team. I think he could be stuck with Brian Robinson. No one trades for Brian Robinson. This could be a complete and utter wasted pick, but I think he's going to go around this spot, so I'm just going to take him here. Just because I think his upside is significant if he is the Commanders running back one, because the Commanders are just going to score so many fucking points that you are going to want pieces of the offense. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a tight end here, and we're going to look at the bye weeks. This is the only time I'm really looking at bye weeks, if we're being honest with you. If you draft 2 quarterbacks, make sure they don't have the same bye week. If you draft 2 tight ends, make sure they have 2 different bye weeks. At wide receiver, if I drafted multiple wide receivers that were bye week 12, it doesn't matter to me at all. Why does that not matter? Because by the time you get to week 12, right, some of the guys on your team are going to be gone. They are gone because you cut them, they are gone because you traded them, or they are gone because they're hurt and they're chilling on the IR, or they're out for the fucking season, right? Things are going to be very different. Your roster is going to look completely different by week 12. As long as you're playing the game correctly, you're picking up players off the waiver wire, your team is going to look severely different if you're not just AFK playing in your fantasy league. So I don't worry about bye weeks at all. It doesn't even remotely enter into my sphere. Now, if you draft 5 running backs that are on bye in week 9, that's probably not a good idea, right? But I'm not overwhelmingly focusing on that, in my opinion. That's just kind of how I draft. So for me, my next highest ranked tight end would be Jake Ferguson. Fergalicious has been banged up with a minor back injury, but I'm not too worried about that, especially since he is my tight end too. Though, Based upon the fact that Loveland is a rookie, I probably would, if Jake Ferguson was healthy, start him in week 1, even though I don't think that's like the best matchup on paper up against the Eagles. After Jake Ferguson, Jaden Higgins, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, CJ Stroud, Ramondre Stevenson, the Baltimore Ravens, Jake Bates, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, Michael Pittman, Dallas Goedert, Darnell. Here comes the Mooney. 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Caleb Williams, the Bills defense, the Texans defense, Trey Harris, Drake May, Chris Boswell, Harrison, Bucker the fucker, Jaleel, Chase McLaughlin, I almost call him Jaleel McLaughlin, the GOAT on the Denver Broncos, and the cold like Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to go ahead and close this draft out with a wide receiver and then draft a kicker or a defense. We have been so heavy onto drafting Keenan Allen that we won't take him here, even though I do think he would normally be my pick at the spot because he would be my highest ranked player outside of Rashid Shaheed, but we kind of have been rotating, taking Keenan, taking Shaheed. Now Devon Vell did end up getting traded off of the Denver Broncos, which maybe opens up more room for Marvin Mimsy to carve out a stronger role in this offense. So we'll take Marvin Mims this time, even though I actually want to take Patrick Bryant because Pat Bryant, maybe his name isn't Patrick. Pat Bryant, I just dropped my fucking cup off the desk, not editing that out. Pat Bryant is probably going to start very slow, but I think in terms of the roster we got a lot of wide receivers that I think have super high upside, so we're just going to keep on drafting that late on in the draft, and maybe a couple weeks into the season, Pat Bryant becomes entrenched in this offense. We've already heard Sean Payton comp him to Michael Thomas, the slant god himself. So now we're going to go with our kicker. We're going to draft Jake Elliott, best kicker available. And then for our defense, we are going to be streaming defenses. We dropped a streaming defense video yesterday. What is streaming defenses? You draft your defense based upon their opponent in week number 1. Doesn't matter who they play in week number 2, although it would be better if you can draft a defense that has a great week 1 and week 2 matchup. Ideally, you draft a defense that you could play every single week, potentially, but even the more strong defenses in the NFL are going to run into buzzsaws, run into matchups where they're going to potentially get absolutely butt-fucked. So the way to avoid that is by streaming defenses. And I talk about 5 defenses in that video. Spoiler alert, one of them is the Rams, and the Rams are my favorite one. They go up against the Texans, then they play up against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Great matchups in both spots for the Rams defense, so I love the Rams defense because of that. And guess what? In week 3, when they have a tougher opponent, I don't remember who it was, it's the Eagles, we drop them like it's hot, and we pick up a new defense, and then every week I make defenses to stream video. So I already made a video about week 1, but guess what? Right when we knock on the door week 1, there will be a video defenses to stream for the people that maybe drafted the Bills and they're going up against the Ravens and they're shitting themselves. The Ravens who are playing up against the Bills, both defenses are typically drafted in leagues. So that's why we talk about streaming defenses. So hopefully you got the gist of it. And if you didn't, just watch the video. It's a much better explanation of what I just did. So Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Colston Loveland, Travion Henderson, Jake Elliott, the LA Rams, Debo Samuel, Ricky Pearsall, JCM, Jake Ferguson, and Pat Bryant. Round of applause for myself. What a fucking draft that was. Beautiful. Chef's kiss, magnifique. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. Check out one of the videos on the screen if you haven't seen them already. And check out the Patreon link in the video description to get my draft guide. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. We'll be back later with another video. As always, guys, good boy.